Hello, my name is Sam Crabb. I'm the leader of the Liberal Democrat County Group on Somerset County Council. Here in Somerset, we are certainly not in coalition with the Conservatives. The Conservatives are making huge mistakes. They are costing all of us a fortune. And really, it's common sense that we really must have back in Somerset. We must stop the waste. We must have a stop to selling off assets cheaply. We must stop investing huge amounts of money into offices. We must stop investing in fish ponds, the sort of money that could have paid for 2 social workers in my division. Absolutely ridiculous. So, the way to change that is to vote Liberal Democrat on the 2nd of May. What they have done by making the wrong decisions is they are costing all of us a great deal of money. One really good example of that is when we come to closing the recycling centres, the tips, for 2.5 days a week and actually charging people to go into 4 of them at £2 per visit. The direct effect of that is that we've got fly tipping all over Somerset. And looking at national statistics, we can see that Somerset fly tipping is going through the roof and the rest of the country it's going down. Why? Because the Conservatives have made the wrong cuts. Now those cuts are actually costing us a huge amount, because not only are we having to pay to go into some of the tips to recycle, but we've got fly tipping all over the place, which the district councils have to collect at great cost, and the material they collect cannot be recycled because it's contaminated, and it must therefore go into landfill, and we're having to pay £80 a tonne landfill tax as well. And so all the way around it is costing a vast amount of money, when what we should be doing is encouraging everyone to recycle more and making it easier for people to recycle. And that's exactly what the Liberal Democrats will do. The Conservatives have been wasting millions of pounds of your money. £4 million spent on smart offices, £35,000 spent on fish ponds at County Hall. That money could have been much better spent on other things, which would have done all of us a lot more good. That £35,000, for example, could have been spent on youth workers or social workers. Why spend it on a fish pond at County Hall? We were able to build classrooms to replace schools where they were falling down. We built new schools. We built roads where we needed to have new roads. And if we hadn't have borrowed money, none of that would have happened. And the infrastructure of Somerset would have been getting worse and worse. The fact that the Conservatives in Somerset are accusing us of mounting up huge amounts of debt is no different whatsoever to other local authorities, other county councils, which are controlled by the Conservatives themselves in other parts of the country. If you look at somewhere like Cambridgeshire, for example, they are borrowing hundreds of millions of pounds to invest into railway and public transport. And that, I think, is good for that area. Now, the fact that we borrowed is just like you or I borrowing money on a mortgage for our house. And if the roof needs repairing, then you probably need to borrow that on a mortgage. And it's exactly the same. And in Somerset, what we've got is our annual income of round about the £350 million a year, equivalently being borrowed on a mortgage. And if anyone who's listening to this, who have an income, say, of £25,000, if they've got a mortgage of £25,000 equivalent to their annual income, they'll know that that is a pretty low mortgage. And in effect, the repayments that we make, they are really sustainable. And we only borrowed money where it would save money in the future. If we hadn't have invested that money, and there was no other way we could get hold of that money other than borrowing, then our roads would have been in a terrible state. Now, I know they're in a bad state now, but that's because the Conservatives have not kept up the level of investment that we did. Under the Labour government, we were forced to borrow. Now, under the coalition government, the Conservatives are being given cash so they can invest in capital projects. However, that cash has to be borrowed by the government. So we're still borrowing money, but it's the government doing it rather than the county council. And for the Conservatives to say that they are not borrowing is totally untrue. At the moment, the Conservatives are spending millions of pounds on consultants, which is a waste of money, because in the main, they're not even listening to the outcomes from those consultants. we would stop doing that straight away, and we would invest that money into Somerset, into frontline services who desperately need to have that money. Frontline services that would benefit are the library service, where we're promising extra investment, the youth service, young carers, the roads, huge range of services where investment have not been made, where we must be making investment. But you can see all of the detail on the County Council's website.